People with food allergy or intolerance, have you ever been tricked by a friend or family member to see if you were lying about your condition? What happened? We emailed my sister's caterers at her wedding several times letting them know my partner had a nut allergy and highlighting the seriousness of it. They stuck nuts in anyway. She nearly died. One ruined wedding. My brother is allergic to tree nuts. My aunt thought he was lying because he'd eat things with peanuts in it. Several times she brought foods with nuts in them to Christmas get-togethers. Never bothered my brother much, he just didn't eat them. This pissed her off. So once she make this big plate of chocolate chip cookies. My brother eats about 6 of them. About 20 minutes later he's hacking and coughing. EpiPen, Benadryl and a trip to the hospital later. My aunt finally tells us that she used almond flour because she knew he was making it up. Not exactly tricked, but I had a co-worker with a severe dairy allergy, had to carry an EpiPen and everything. She was leaving the company, so on her last day I brought in a huge batch of vegan brownies. Typically when I make that recipe I use soy milk, but I had another co-worker, B, who had a soy allergy, so I used almond milk instead. Co-worker B took one of the brownies after confirming with me they were totally soy-free, but came back about 10 minutes later, asking if I was sure there was no soy in the brownies. She was clearly having a reaction, so I panicked and started listing off all the ingredients I used in the recipe. When I mentioned the almond milk she said, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm allergic to almonds, too." She ended up going home for the rest of the day, and I am still baffled that someone with allergies that severe wouldn't verify the food she was eating was free of all her allergens. I'd just like to say, it's incredibly sweet of you to make special brownies that cater to not only one, but 2 of your co-workers' restrictions. Thank you for being so kind. My sister would make food and then complain that the label only said may contain traces of nuts when I said my throat was itching and I was getting an agonizing stomachache. She did it so often that I eventually refused to eat anything she had made. I don't think it was because she thought I was lying, because she kept on doing it even after I made it clear that I knew I'd been given nuts. She didn't like me. Maybe she was trying to be a juvenile homicidal maniac by using cake as a murder weapon. Also, my dad would make a peanut and rice mix and refuse to let me get anything else for my dinner. I should just pick the peanuts out, according to him. He also would make himself peanut butter and jam sandwiches and put a big crap smear of peanut butter in the jam and butter, then shout at me when I refused to eat jam sandwiches. Maybe they had a juicy life insurance policy for me or something. Your sister and your dad are horrible. Aunt and mom both are not the brightest people in the context of medical experience. I'm allergic to walnuts. So what do they say? He's probably faking and being a picky 10-year-old. Nope. Ate a walnut and what do you know? Rashes everywhere within a few minutes. Freaking told you. This didn't happen to me but to my girlfriend. She's allergic to most nuts, especially to peanuts and anything with peanuts. When she was around 4, she was staying at her grandmother's house for the day and she got hungry, so naturally grandma is gonna make some food. Her grandmother did not believe she was allergic to nuts and that she just needed to be exposed to nuts more to be fine. So she made her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. My girlfriend, being a little girl, didn't know, so she took a few bites before she started to itch and eventually starting to have a severe allergic reaction. Her grandma called her mom and then they took her to the hospital. So thankfully she was okay. Her grandma believes she's allergic to nuts now. My mother does this constantly. I stopped accepting food from her a long time ago because she will either purposely add my allergens into the food or use utensils covered in my allergens to stir otherwise uncontaminated food. She just refuses to believe that her kid could have a life-threatening allergy. I don't have the kind of food allergies that just make your stomach upset. If I come in contact with any fermented or mold-based food, I will literally have my throat close and my nail beds turn blue as I stop breathing. I have been hospitalized for this. Everyone who knows me knows this and tries to avoid bringing me into contact with problem foods, except my mother. The worst example of this behavior happened when I was moving. My mom comes over to help me move and brings over what looks like French fries covered in ranch. She picks one up and brings it to my face like she's going to feed it to me. Mind you, I am 22 years old at this point in my life. The smell alone clued me in that this was blue cheese, so I jerked back and said no. I'm not eating that and removed myself from the situation because I knew I would start screaming at her if I didn't. But my friend, let's call him Dave, is flabbergasted. Everyone knows not to bring this around me and my mom just strolls in and tries to feed it to me. For a visual, Dave is a large, 6'6" black man. He crosses his arms, looks at my mom and goes, "Dog, you know that crap will kill her." She stammers out some "oh I forgot" and makes a hasty retreat to pretend to be helping somewhere. Ever since that incident she stopped trying to pull this in front of him or anyone else who will call her out on it and has moved on to accidentally cross-contaminating things. But she still brings up how mean Dave is for cussing at her when she just wanted to bring some food over. Your mum is flat out abusive, like holy crap. My mother-in-law, and not a food fabuloso cleaner, is the only thing in my life I have been allergic to. My husband's bee mother finds out I'm very pregnant and she brings me a ton of my husband's baby blankets, books, etc. All very well kept, all cleaned in fabuloso. Now, the issue is it's not cartoon level insta hives. It takes a while, enough time that I have possibly eaten or touched my face. To this day she isn't allowed to bring items into my house. My mom didn't believe my little brother when he told her that he's developed an allergy to bell peppers. That night, she made salad and diced green bell peppers into the salad so that he couldn't see the tiny green cubes. Within minutes, his throat swelled and he developed hives all over his face and neck. My mom told him to stop being dramatic as he was coughing and gasping for air. I grabbed my EpiPen from my bag and injected him as he began to faint while my mom screamed at us for being ungrateful brats who refused to appreciate the food she cooked for us. We are both no contact now. Good for both of you. My best friend at the time didn't believe anyone could be allergic to cedar. It makes my eyes itch and burn then swell shut. She thought I was probably just being dramatic because I didn't like the smell or something. I was spending the night at her place and she brought me some blankets. As soon as I wrapped up in them I realized something was wrong. They reeked of cedar. Her mother kept them in a cedar chest and she thought it would be no big deal. She quickly changed her tune and then apologized profusely once my eyes started to swell shut and I had to call my folks to come take me to the ER in the middle of the dang night. Cedar allergies are awful. My husband had a cedar allergy and literally cannot visit my family in winter because of all the cedar trees. I didn't even realize there was so much cedar till the first year he came with me. I felt so terrible. I've been very adamant with my family that he has an allergy and one just sick. I don't think they believe me, but they know better than to argue with me. Cilantro. I guess my reaction would classify as an intolerance and not an allergy. That is, no anaphylactic reaction. However, a friend thought I was lying and put some in a salsa she made to see if I could tell. Oh, I could tell, alright, I could tell as soon as my stomach started to swell and I started to feel very nauseous. Showed her by throwing up all over her bathroom. Sucker. I have alpha-gal allergy. Got bit by a tick at featuring Dick's NJ in 2014. Made homemade beef tacos the night prior to having my first hives anaphylaxis. At this time, docs didn't know what I was allergic to, so they did a blood test on everything. Came back negative on red meat skin test, but highly positive for alpha-gal allergy. Asian mom doesn't believe in the allergy, so she doesn't believe me. I was already having a hard time with it, knowing I would never be able to eat a nice medium rare steak ever again. Mom makes stew with pork in it, but surprisingly I didn't have a reaction. A reaction for me can be between 4-12 hours after ingestion. Thought I was cleared and I wasn't allergic anymore. No, I did not consult the doctor because this allergy is still in its researching and testing phase. Turns out 4-6 months later, after retuning to my normal diet with red meat, I have the quickest and most dangerous reaction. My body went straight to anaphylaxis in 4 hours. Since then, I've carefully monitored and stayed away from red meats, but will occasionally take a small teeny piece of pork because I like the taste. I haven't had a reaction from the small pieces, so I have continued to eat small pieces from time to time to test my body's limitations. Yes, I know I'm risking my life, but I've got a couple expired $600 EpiPens and with my luck, no reaction yet. I have alpha-gal allergy. I know this isn't that, but it sounds like you're allergic to strong, independent women. My grandmother, who is a bit sick in the head, gave me a 7-layer bar. even though she knew I'm allergic to nuts. My entire face was swollen, and I could barely breathe, but she said I was fine and didn't do anything. Whoa, your grandma was nuts. My parents. I have a severe cross-pollination allergy to all fruit and some vegetables. Not anaphylactic, but bad. Apples are the worst. I cannot breathe sometimes if I smell them. Parents would try to force me to eat them anyway and ignore me when I complained. And then, in high school, my dad brings this up to an allergist in an "oh, she's always complaining" kind of way, and the allergist said, yeah, that's a thing. Cue apologetic parents forever. I remember a post a while ago on our relationships where a guy's girlfriend claimed to be so deathly allergic to apples that her parents had them banned completely in her university dormitory. Everyone on that post doubted the existence of an apple allergy and said she was either lying or her parents were lying. On the flip side of this, I made a curry that contained ground almonds. Totally forgot about my sister-in-law's nut allergy until the next day. She had no side effects whatsoever. She hadn't been tested since she was a baby, despite carrying her EpiPen round with her and not even having stuff like gin as sometimes they flavor with nuts. She went for the tests, all came back negative. Now she eats nuts. I have a strange allergy that most people don't believe. I'm allergic to mint menthol. Anything that is supposed to give you that nice cooling sensation just feels like burning fire and makes me swell and itch. No anaphylaxis, but just really uncomfortable. It's in toothpaste, facial ashes, deodorant, candy, hair products. I had a friend, and as young teens do, she decided to wash my hair and give me a sleepover spa day sort of thing. We washed each other's hair in the kitchen sink, cucumbers on the eyes, candles going. She has heard me many times say I was allergic, so I decided to trust her. But, without telling me, she decides to use her mom's fancy peppermint shampoo thinking it wouldn't be bad. Suddenly, relaxing spa day turned into a Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial. Next thing I know, I'm writhing around trying not to tear my scalp off while I'm screaming at her, "What did you do? What's in this?" She kept telling me that it was good stuff and her mom uses it all the time. Mom's never had a problem. The remainder of spa day was spent with my head running under cold water until the Benadryl kicked in. I also get adverse reactions to Benadryl, so instead of sleepy I get hyped. The rest of that sleepover was me sitting like a 16-year-old on seat trying to watch a movie by pacing back and forth behind the couch, patting my thighs to the beat of everything that was happening in the movie. Not a fun sleepover. I'm allergic to limes. Other citrus doesn't bother me, just limes. I'm a bartender and so things suck sometimes, but I'm usually okay. My allergy developed after I had started bartending. At first it was just a mild skin allergy, but I could still drink it. Then it started getting worse. I'm at a point now where even a small sip of a drink with lime will set off a reaction in my throat. It burns very badly. And the hives. My god, the hives. I usually have to remind friends and family when they're trying to make me drinks because it's not a common allergy and I'm almost always okay. I can't have my favorite drinks anymore when I go out because most places don't have the ability to make me a margarita with lemon instead of lime. Most pre-mix their juices or whatever. Maybe they're lazy and just don't want to do it. Fine. It's not a big deal, but I always ask anyways on the off chance that they can. It's not really just that though, I can't trust people at other restaurants and bars anymore. This C told me she could make a margarita with only lemon. I super stress I can't have sour mix or anything, it must only be lemon. She said it was no problem because they had fresh squeezed juices and it was easy to accommodate me. She freaking used sweet and sour mix, and when I started drinking it, I took a big sip and could tell immediately when it hit my tongue. She had a smug look on her face until I started reacting right there. My boyfriend raised freaking heck while I was trying to get the reaction to stop. I should have pressed charges but didn't because I was younger then and felt like her being fired was enough. I still wonder every so often whether or not she learned her freaking lesson. Friend is gluten free. Nephew rubbed stale bread on his skin to see what would happen. He got a localized rash. Nephew has scientific curiosity and now understands that consent for experimentation is required before the experiment had begun. Nephew has scientific curiosity and now understands that consent for experimentation is required before the experiment had begun. Not to discredit the severity of the situation, but I find this hilarious. My parents, to an extent. When I was a small child, I stopped breathing when my parents moved me from breast milk to baby milk, cow milk. I stopped breathing and was rushed to the hospital. The doctors told my parents that I was likely lactose intolerant and to just be careful to dairy. My parents continued to feed my dairy. When I was around 18, I was eating so much dairy daily. I was also constantly on the toilet and constantly vomiting. I didn't see the link. Went to the doctors. They did some simple tests. I now avoid dairy and I am perfectly healthy. My parents still think I exaggerate. I'm allergic to avocado. A lot of people think I'm lying because I don't like it. Guacamole is delicious, but unfortunately makes me violently ill. My sister-in-law thought I would change my mind if I had avocado in the right context. She gave me a burrito with guac, which I stupidly ate by the campfire so the green avocado color looked like quizo. I vomited a lot for a long time. Hopefully on her. I'm allergic to shellfish seafood. I was with my friend at her house. Her father made a tuna casserole for supper. I had told him prior about my allergies and he straight up told me not to be a pea and don't lie and that I was either going to eat this or starve. I was angry, so I had a few bites to spite him. I think he realized I wasn't lying when I completely destroyed his bathroom. Prick. I have the let's close your throat and kill you variety of this. My sister thinks I'm faking it because I didn't die the first time I had a reaction. Allergic to red food dye. Sleepover in middle school. Red food coloring put into my pop. Took a sip and everyone started cracking up. Found out why and I thought I was going to die. I didn't die but had a horrible flu-like reaction the next day. My mom made a red velvet cake for my birthday one year. And because my dad forgot he was allergic to red dye, he was breaking out in hives and just a mess. A few years before too, he had a similar reaction every time he showered, until he realized it was the red dye in his body wash. Got tricked into having a curry that had minced lamb and cream in it. Was told it was soya mince and coconut cream. My aunt always said I was too skinny and pale, so kept pushing meat on me, especially during my period. Jokes on my aunt because I had vicious diarrhea in her toilet and her house reeked like crap for like a week. She had to listen to me loudly crying and making the wettest, loudest crapping noises ever. Even the neighbors could hear it and her cat didn't come back home for days. I'm sorry for what happened to you. Being pinned to the toilet for hours sucks, but that last line got a laugh out of me. My wife, who is an otherwise supportive and wonderful partner, refused to believe I have an allergy to pistachios. She said it's because I am too nonchalant about diving into a bowl of nuts, then later asking if there are pistachios, but at this point I kinda just know from glance if there are. Anyhow, we were at a nice place for lunch with her family and ordered a meat and cheese board. I didn't even consider that a plate would have pistachios until my second bite and I saw them. My wife, slightly justified, said, "See, you aren't allergic." 30 minutes later I was in the emergency center, my entire body broken out and trouble breathing and swallowing, and she was crying. I was trying to calm her down while attempting to swallow and not die. Feeling if I did pass I didn't want her thinking it was her fault. One giant shot in my butt cheek and a very calming nurse helped out. She later got mad that I didn't carry an EpiPen with me, but she forgets I am a dummy when it comes to that stuff. My own father. I'm allergic to mushrooms. He didn't think that was possible. One weekend day when I was 14, it was my turn to cook dinner. I made bolognese sauce and left it to simmer on the hob while I went out to play with the dogs. Whilst I was out, he secretly cooked a few mushrooms, liquidized them, mixed them into the sauce, then hid all the evidence. You couldn't see them, smell them, or taste them. I ate the dinner, and when 2 hours later my guts began to protest, I was so confused. I made the sauce myself. There was nothing bad in it. Everyone else is fine. It wasn't until the next morning, after everyone had to listen to me emptying my entire digestive system all dang night, that he finally admitted what he had done. It felt good listening to my mum shouting at him for hours, and she made him scrub the entire bathroom with a toothbrush once I was finally out of there. I'm glad your mom fought for you. This is some real bulls. Bet he didn't get any for a long while. I am deathly allergic to peanuts, but it didn't become a full-blown, life-threatening allergy until my late teens. I have always hated the taste of peanuts though, and they made my mouth throat itch and overall made me feel nauseous from a young age. My mother was convinced that I just needed to keep trying peanuts and learn to like them. She would sneak it on my jelly sandwiches thinking I wouldn't notice or something. Being young, I didn't realize that itchy mouth could be a sign of an allergy, and my mom apparently didn't take me seriously and thought I was making excuses to not eat it. One day she tried this tactic while my friend was over for lunch. We were about 10 years old. I realized what she'd done and felt betrayed and tricked. I dramatically shoved the plate away, spilling my chocolate milk everywhere. I cried and ran away, upset and embarrassed. My friend was crying from laughter. She still brings this incident up regularly. You should post your story on our race and be narcissists. That's crazy that she brings it up, even after knowing you are allergic. I have a severe intolerance to oatmeal. Intolerance, not allergy. That means on allergy tests it doesn't show up, but I can't digest the stuff. One time for my birthday, a friend had kindly made me cookies. She liked to bake and experiment, so knowing that, I asked her if they had oatmeal in them because I couldn't eat oatmeal and couldn't digest it. She thought I was being picky and was just trying to nicely say I didn't like oatmeal cookies, but she wanted me to try her new concoction anyway. Well, I ate a cookie and it was terrific. About a minute after finishing it though, my stomach started to feel like I'd ingested molten lava. I was doubled over in pain for the rest of the day. I asked her what she put in them and she sheepishly told me well, they had a little oatmeal, but it was so little I didn't think it would matter. I had to cancel all my birthday plans because I couldn't get out of bed to do anything at all. Actually, I put her in charge of canceling so she could let everyone know exactly why I was indisposed. I know it's popular to hate gluten-free people right now, but I legitimately can't consume gluten because I have celiac disease. There's definitely a threshold for my allergy, but I'm not totally sure where the line is. I'm usually fine eating, for example, fries from the same fryer as onion rings, but if I eat an actual piece of bread I'll get headaches, stomach aches, and probably throw it up. Anyways, the summer after high school my friend got me a job at this crappy Mexican restaurant she worked at. Everything came in bagged frozen except the green chili, which we made in-house. Every time I start at a new restaurant I make it a habit to learn what allergens are in what dishes because I take that crap seriously, and I also want to know what I can eat safely. This restaurant had all ingredients and allergens for everything listed in a binder, so I read through it and saw that the chili was actually gluten-free. Every day at work I would get a plate of rolled chicken enchiladas on corn tortillas smothered in green chili, but after a few days I started feeling sick. It started with headaches, then stomach cramps so bad I had trouble focusing at work. I fricked up orders, had to constantly take breaks, and generally was miserable. In the middle of the night or in the mornings I would wake up throwing up, but this being the restaurant industry no one would let me call in sick. Eventually I threw up in the bathroom while at work and they sent me home. I was out for 2 days, but I couldn't figure out what had made me sick because I'm careful about my groceries and everything I had eaten at the restaurant was supposed to be gluten-free. When I got back I was talking to my friend, who by the way had not checked up on me at all, about how confused I was with the whole thing, and she starts freaking laughing. Turns out she didn't believe I had a real allergy and thought it would be funny to prove I was faking it, so she got the cooks to add flour to the chili. Obviously I was freaking pee. She had essentially poisoned me and who knows how many other people by adding the flour. What is wrong with people? Celiac is an autoimmune disease, so it can take months to repair the damage and for your immune system to settle down after exposure. I'm sorry that happened to you. What a horrible person. I'm lactose intolerant. Depending on what I eat, the side effects of dairy can be anywhere from being toilet bound for a few hours to excruciatingly stinky farts. The last time someone tried to test that they got gassed out of their own house. It was excellent, except for the part where I threw it all back up. Reminder that if you trick someone who is allergic to something into eating that thing and they die, that prison sentence for manslaughter or possibly even murder, depending on jurisdiction, is entirely your fault. I have a friend with a peanut allergy and he told me that two classmates in middle school didn't believe him once and smeared peanut butter all over his arm. He was like, WTF dude, and broke out in hives. Similar story. There was a kid in the grade below me that was deathly allergic to peanuts. Some smart butt in his class decided to put peanuts in his outdoor shoes. Kid has his EpiPen, was able to make it to the hospital. The kid who did the prank got suspended for an extended period of time. In addition to a previously mentioned dairy problem, I'm allergic to walnuts. Anaphylactic shock allergic. So of course when I ask the nice lady if there are walnuts are the secret of her chocolate chip cookies, she says no. I explain I'm allergic to them and it's important. No, just try them and you'll see. I try them and immediately know they're all walnuts. See, you aren't allergic. I am screaming at my friend across the room where my EpiPen is in the car and to have someone call the ambulance now. From the depths I also wheeze out for someone to get her name and contact info. Thanks for trying to kill me, lady. It's like people think if you don't immediately explode you're fine. A friend thought I was faking a nut allergy, which contributed to this fine display of ashlery. One fine day, she did the open your mouth and close your eyes thing and fed me a stuffed mushroom, which I love. When I said this is so good, what's in it, she said peanuts. Me and my other friends freaked out while my friend laughed her head off. She had lied as a prank, and to prove it was all in my head, I legit thought I was going to have to use my EpiPen. That I might die, and she laughed at me. She did not understand why I was angry. The worst part was that she worked in food service and knew better. Your friend is a selfish C. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.